He says this is promoted in the religion. So he set up some organization, the Muslim Gay Lesbian Association or something like this. Khubatha ya ikhwan. Filthy people. If you're doing a sin, go and do your sin somewhere else away and don't attribute it to Islam. But we will not stop forbidding this because it is evil and it causes corruption, breaks the lineage, stops procreation, all types of evils and harms in society. Anyway, singing, as the Prophet ﷺ allowed the singing at times of marriage for the women. Also at the time of Yawm al-Eid, on the days of Eid, it is allowed for the women to sing. Then the Salaf mentioned, as for the men, then it is not permissible. Ibn Qudama, other than Ibn Qudama, from the Salaf of this Ummah, as for the men, it is not permissible. Because the playing of the duff for the women and the singing for the women, it is an affair for women. It's a womanly thing to do. And any man who does it, then he's effeminate. Men don't do things like that. Singing and dancing and, playing drums and stuff. It's not from the affairs of the man. And any man who resembles it, then, as the Salaf used to say, that he's effeminate. In modern day terminology, we would say he's a pufta. This is what they are. Because this is the direction that they are going in. So men don't sing. It's not in the nature of men to sing. It's from the women. Singing is for the women. Playing the duff is for the women, not for the men. So we don't play the music. We don't play the duff, sorry. We don't play music anyway. We don't play the duff. And we don't sing. Women on those two occasions. It is permitted for the women on those two occasions. So we should allow the women to do this and gather together to do this. And the men shouldn't be around because the voice of the woman is a fitna for the men. So in their own company, they can sing and they can play the duff on Yawm al-Eid and upon the occasions of the Islamic marriages. As for at-tamthiliyat, dramas and plays, then they are established upon lies. Is it not true? This one says, I'm Fir'aun. They make your 7-year-old child say he's Fir'aun. Is that the truth or is that false? It's false. From every janib, from every angle it's false. So it is false. And it makes a person a kadhab, it makes him a liar. Because he pretends to be someone that he's not. So he comes claiming to be Ja'far. This one comes claiming to be Abu Bakr. This one comes claiming to be Iblis. This one comes claiming to be Fulan and Fulan. And they make these plays established upon lies. And the Shaykh said, and this leads to many sins. And the greatest of them is kadhib. And anyone who says that this is not a clear-cut established proof, then he is astray, wishing to lead others astray. We know that the religion forbids lying. We don't become kadhabeen for the sake of da'wah. We don't lie to the people. We don't deceive the people. So this is forbidden. Then he continues to say, indeed Allah has forbidden lying in his book and cursed the kadhabeen. Allah has cursed the liars in his book. So why are you going to go ahead and lie and say that I'm getting rewarded for this lie in that situation? And obviously there are exceptions to this, but we're not talking about exceptions. So don't send me any questions about, isn't it true that the Prophet ﷺ said a man can lie to his wife and a wife can lie to her husband? We're not talking about exceptions. Those are exceptions. The general rule is that lying is forbidden. Lying is forbidden and injustice is forbidden. So we don't lie. So Allah cursed the kadhabeen. And connected to that is taking on in a play the personality of a kafir. Then that increases that play in evil and ugliness. Increases that. And likewise also in this play is a call to evil deeds and lust and treachery in marriage, or other than that from the evil matters, such as stealing, taking and the taking of wealth falsely, and all of these types of haram. So even when a person watches movies or watches dramas or watches soap operas or watches any of these affairs, what are you watching except lies and fornication? Anytime these movies come on, or these soap operas, or I don't know what else, these soap operas that they put on TV, I don't know whether it's Coronation Street or EastEnders or Neighbours or Dallas or whatever. All of this stuff, what's it based upon? Except fornication, adultery, lying, stealing, worship of others besides Allah, kadhib, nakedness. You're sitting there watching that. Worst of all, your child sitting next to you watching it also. How is this possible, ya ikhwan? How is this possible? And then you justify it to yourself. No, you Salafis are a bit shadeed. You Salafis are a bit too strict. Strict. You're watching nakedness upon the telly and telling me about strict. You're watching people having adultery with their own neighbor, which is from the greatest of sins, and they're promoting this on telly. Even they have chat show programs. Come forward if you slept with your neighbor's wife. And they sit there advertising, yeah, I did it, a guy smacked me in the mouth, and he caught me in bed. And this is what they do, ya ikhwan. And Muslims are sitting there watching this and justifying it, and when you tell them it's haram, they say you Muslims are too strict, you Salafis are too strict. What are you raising yourself upon? What kind of sickness are you allowing into that vessel which is called your heart? And your children are sitting there watching it. Your children are sitting there watching it, and then you wonder why there's so much corruption in society. So all of this is false and it is haram. There is the so-called Islamic ones and the non-Islamic ones. So what is upon them is to make tawbah to Allah. Yeah, if you want. I'm going to finish in 5 minutes. So what is upon them is to make tawbah to Allah and to abandon that which they are upon from batil. Those who have no piety with them, nor do they fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they just give fatwa. There's this singer known as Cat Stevens in the old days, and he's Yusuf Islam. For years he left music. For years. Then some Jahil Mufti gave him a fatwa that it is permissible for you to start singing again. Now he's back on the guitar and singing and all this kind of stuff. Allah saved you from all of that when you entered into Islam. And then someone misguided him back into it. So now he's doing concerts. They say the biggest Islamic musical conference. Can the word Islamic and music even occur in the same sentence? The biggest Islamic musical conference that Britain has ever seen, with 15,000, I don't know how many people there. 15,000 people go and listen to haram. Rappers and singers and musical instruments and guitars and violins. And he's hosting it. Look how the people have misguided him. Look how those muftis, those ulama of su, those scholars of evil that they have around them, misguide them. Left music for all of these years for the sake of Allah. Then someone told him Allah will reward you for playing the banjo. Huh? How is this possible, ya ikhwan? How is this possible? So those people who give fatwa like this, it's not so much we feel sorry for the ones who fall into it, because they're just juhal, they're ignorant. They're ignorant. But the worst are the ones who give those fatwa to the people, so the ignorant ones start following them. Even though they shouldn't have that ignorance. After being a Muslim for 15, 20 years, you should know better by now. You should know the ulama of Ahlul Sunnah and the ulama of Salafiyah. They have no piety with them and no fear of Allah. So they leave the book of Allah in this regard, and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ in this instance, and they abandon the Sharia evidences. So what will be their excuse when they stand before Allah? How will they excuse themselves before Allah with all of these things and this fasad and corruption that they spread? We ask Allah that He rectifies the affairs of the Muslimin, and that He suffices them, and that He protects them from the evil of the pseudo-Khawarij of the modern times. Those who say that it is permissible to rebel against the Muslim rulers because they are tyrannical, when the ijma and the consensus of the Salaf of this ummah was that it is not permissible to rebel against the Muslim rulers even if they are tyrannical. Ijma, consensus of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and the Atba' Tabi'een and those who came after them, that we don't rebel against the tyrannical ruler. So we ask Allah to protect us from the evils of the pseudo Khawarij, the modern day Khawarij, those who gather together and call to their khuruj, and they gather in their dawah hypocrisy and deception and lying, and likewise those who imitate them and those who are upon their way. Wa billahi tawfiq, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.